So welcome everybody, my name is Paul. I'm a real estate professional in the western part of Virginia near Lexington. And today I'm going to talk about the very common question that we all get. When is a good time to sell my house? That's a really interesting question because there's a lot of variables, and of course we want to maximize our profit, for example, and maybe the speed at which the property sells and so on. So a lot of people normally think about, well, the springtime is a great time. And sometimes that is a good time because in the springtime, especially in cold climates, everybody starts coming out of their house. They're all happy. They want to look for their house. And that brings into another timing, for example, later in August, September, when the schools open. There are a lot of people who do a transfer or a move. They get a job and they move so that they can go through a process and be all settled in their home so their children can go into the new school system. So that can be a very strong indicator, for example, of a time to sell. But there are other factors involved. For example, let's say, for example, someone just dies, and then you don't really have to sell immediately, and maybe it'll take some time to clean the house out and get it ready. Say your elderly parents died or something like that, or grandmother, and then it's your responsibility as part of the family to help get rid of the house. Well, then you want to time it for an optimum timing, which is probably most likely in most markets the springtime. Although in markets where there aren't very many seasons, in terms like, say, Florida or California, parts of California, I don't know those markets really well, and most likely there's probably a recurring constant sales because it's not so much influenced by the weather and the winter. In the wintertime, honestly, where I live in Virginia, it gets kind of cold. It's not like upstate New York where it's bitter for months and months of time. Up there in the Northeast, you'll find that very few people want to sell their house in the middle of the winter and tramp around and clean it out and get through the garage and the basement. So in that part of the country, the Northeast in particular, anywhere where it's cold, or North Central, whatever, it's very, very difficult to go through the whole process of selling a home and getting it ready in the middle of winter when there's 2 feet of snow on the ground and you can't do your well test, your septic test, forget it. So now there are other factors involved, for example, the market interest rates and so on. Now right now here, I'm making this video at the end of January in 2022. And we think that maybe the interest rates might be kicked up a half a notch or a quarter percent sometime in springtime. That'll affect some people. A quarter percent is not a tremendous difference. It will kind of snowball and trigger a lot of other factors in the industry in terms of the loans, the mortgages, and so on. But generally speaking, a quarter percent of an interest rate rise is not very much, considering that they're already very, very low. Now, one of the factors involved is selling a house is when are the buyers out? And if you price it wrong and all the buyers are out, it doesn't matter what time you sell the property because it could be the prime buying season, but your house just somehow is $20,000 over and nobody just wants to come and look at it and they offer really low and you're not happy. And so in terms of making a decision to sell your house, it's a really good idea to be very, very confident and say, okay, I'm doing it. I'm going to sign on with a with a brokerage or something to list my house. We're going to do it. We're going to get the house ready. And generally, if you're going to sell the house, let's say in April, by April in where I live, it's beautiful. Even in March, I'm mowing the lawn. So there are properties that go on the market in February, March, and they want to get the early birds. There are a lot of people who are really early bird buyers too. And they say, honey, I got a new job coming up, or I'm being transferred, or so on, and let's get the kids in a new school. So we got online, and January 1st comes, they're looking for a new property. Now, if you're a seller, you might have an advantage because you're in the market, and there are not very many out there, and in, say, January, February, and you might be able to get a nice price because whoever's out there in January, February trying to buy a house is probably really wants to buy a house right then. So therefore, they might be very motivated to pay a little bit more for a house. Now, generally speaking, if you're going to do homesteading, I'm a specialist in rural property and that sort of thing. And if you want to time it right, a really great idea to make a homestead is to buy just at the very, very end of the winter. Get out there, start looking so that when you close on your house, you go there and you settle in a new place. I did that one time. We settled in early March. By the end of March, we're all moving in. Beautiful April. It's all beautiful. We can have our garden. We got months and months of beautiful weather to enjoy our new household. Now, it's up to you basically when you want to buy a house. I'll talk a little bit about buying a house in one of my other videos and the timing of that. But from a seller's point of view, the main thing is it ready? Are you ready? Because let's say you want to time your sale, say in May of the year that you're in. And then you say, okay, back it off a few weeks and say, what do I got to be doing before? Is the septic ready? Are all the inspections, everything? Can I get my paperwork together? Can we clean out? Can we have a yard sale? Can we downsize? Can we get some of the clutter out of the yards and so on? So that when it goes on the market on May 1st or something, okay, you set it on the market May 1st and boom, now you're totally ready, and buyers love a house that's ready. A buyer who's very interested in moving is going to make a better offer on a property that's move-in ready. Say, okay, you're ready, I'm ready, let's go. I'll pay you an extra few $1,000s because I'm ready, let's do it. I see your house is all ready and it's all clean and everything, so let's do it. Motivated buyers are your best opportunity for a seller, and you're going to find some of them out there in the early stages of the year, even in a cold climate like up in New York, where it's very cold sometimes and the snow doesn't even melt till the end of April. But you can still start prepping your house in a lot of ways. Just look around, go around every single room in your house, make a checklist and say, okay, what do I need to do here? What do I need to do there? Maybe by being in the middle of the winter time, you can start ordering. Maybe you need a new faucet. Maybe you want to get rid of some furniture. Maybe you want to sell some things, throw some things out. Maybe you need to paint some rooms, so that by the time that you're ready, you sign on with your listing agent in April. May 1st goes on the market, and boom, you might even have an offer by the end of May. See, so the timing, the answer to the question is, what is a good time to sell your house? When you really are ready, when you need to sell it, when you have to sell it, and be very straight with your broker and agent about the situation. If you really need to sell fast, you want to be a little bit comfortable about negotiating about price, because price really moves a property. If you really, really need to move, let's say you have a job opportunity, you're going to make like a lot more salary and you're just gung-ho on it and you want to get settled out there, just sell your property. Just sell, take an offer, take a good solid offer. You won't regret, because if you go into your new location and your beautiful new place, let's say you could sell a month earlier by just discounting your price, just $5,000 or $10,000. Now you got a whole month to get ready, have your kids enjoy the summer in your new location. So thanks again for listening. I appreciate all the feedback. Like and share. See some of my other videos about buying and selling property in Virginia. I'm a licensed real estate agent, and my specialty in rural property, recreation, land, investment, and so on. So I live in the southwestern part of Virginia near Lexington. Thanks again for listening. I hope to see you in some of my other videos.